Don't sell your Bitcoin right here, right now, because Bitcoin is your portfolio insurance and you got to focus on the other part of your portfolio. Bitcoin should be trading at over $200,000 today on USA debt alone based on insurance prices. You're not going to get these chances often, people, okay? Fiat debasement is 100% certain in all scenarios. Hey, you don't have to buy the thesis, but don't listen to Charlie Munger and don't listen to Steve Hanke, who says it has no intrinsic value. They are wrong.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Crypto. Greg Foss, a well-known credit analyst and portfolio manager, has become a vocal advocate for Bitcoin and often addresses the risks of the traditional fiat system. In a recent interview on the John Vallis Bitcoin Rapid Fire YouTube channel, Foss shared more insight into why critics who argue that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value are wrong. According to Foss, credit default swaps, which are financial tools that protect against default risk, can be used not only for speculation on the possibility of companies or countries going bankrupt, but also for Bitcoin's value. Considering that fiat debasement is 100% certain, Foss recommends that investors consider Bitcoin as an alternative to traditional financial instruments, such as bonds. He firmly believes that Bitcoin's decentralized qualities and limited supply protect it from inflation and central control, thus creating a hedge against economic instability or financial crisis. Foss also pointed out Bitcoin's absence of counterparty risk, meaning that investors don't have to worry about a financial institution or government defaulting on their investments. Let's listen to Greg Foss as he shares his outlook for the markets, and why everyone should get as much Bitcoin as possible. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we bring you daily content on the latest crypto news. And now, let's jump right into the video.
I have this thesis on credit default swaps, and you can actually value Bitcoin because everyone says Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, blah, 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 blah. Well, go full circle, and Mike Novogratz, who, love him or hate him, the man is a big man in finance, tweets out today, Bitcoin is a credit default swap on sovereign debt. Think about it. It's just today. Novo tweets this thing out. And I'm like, well, okay, my thesis is getting around because I can calculate the value of Bitcoin using credit default swaps on the United States and show you that Bitcoin should be trading at over $200,000 today on USA debt alone based on insurance prices for that debt. Anyway, that's intrinsic value. But at the end of the day, my life has changed so positively for the better. And that's a value of Bitcoin that does not get reflected in the price, right? I honestly believe more than ever, the banking crisis that we are going through right now will be reflected in sovereign debt credit spreads. And the value of Bitcoin intrinsically goes up as bank stocks go down. And I can show you the exact correlation using credit default swaps. Hey, you don't have to buy the thesis, but don't listen to Charlie Munger and don't listen to Steve Hanke, who says it has no intrinsic value. They are wrong, and they are going to expire. They're past their best before date. They'll expire. They shouldn't buy green bananas, right? You know the story. I'm just going to be very careful. Don't trade your book based on rearview mirror thinking. As soon as a big fund realizes they need Bitcoin as protection against their US dollar exposure, and this doesn't have to be a domestic fund. This could be like, Saudi Arabia. You know, I'm pretty exposed to the US dollar here. I better get something on my book. I need $500 billion. I need $500 billion, not $500 million. I need $500 billion of exposure. Well, that's the entire market cap of Bitcoin. And then the price doesn't go down, you guys. The price just goes up. And that's what happens when a big cat comes into the room. And I am not predicting that going to be happening, John, because I am negative on equities. And I think that we've been whistling past the graveyard. Already the world realizes this. And you saw 19 other nations want to join the BRICS to organize a competing fiat global reserve currency. Did you know that the BRICS, the GDP of the BRICS is now larger than the cumulative GDP of the G7 nations? So just think of that from a global trade perspective, where the most important G7 nation, So this is why it's going to change. But the funny thing is they're trying to change it using a different fiat basket. All fiats fail. We know that. But Canada will fail 10 years before the United States fails, in my opinion. And Canada hasn't failed yet. So the USA still has 10 good years to get their acting together. And hopefully Canada gets their head out of their ass and starts saving in Bitcoin like El Salvador and pricing our natural gas and natural resources in Bitcoin so that we have a hedge against the fact that the US dollar will be around. It's the biggest fiat cockroach of them all. It will live the longest, okay? And the other little cockroaches are going to get squashed out. But ultimately, the biggest fiat cockroach, if they don't do something right, like adopting Bitcoin, that fiat cockroach will fail as well. So I think you can have a global reserve currency, which is still the US dollar, and the global reserve asset becomes Bitcoin. Money wasn't ever actually, or barter actually never existed. What happened in tribes, what money was a ledger of your debts that you owed to other hunters in the tribe over time if you had taken something from them. And then that ledger made sense because it could have been seashells, it could have been rocks, it could have been, in the case of North American Indians, wampum, or, it eventually went to gold as being this ledger. So I guess I'll just firmly plant myself right in the middle here and say, it's not happening quickly because the other system is just so big and so ingrained that you can't change it overnight. And by the way, I don't want to change it overnight. And I don't think Jeff does either. We've talked about this network transfer where it's not like a light switch. You turn one off and you turn one on. The network grows in parallel. And I think we're seeing that happen right now. Just understand how deep this adoption curve goes and where it's going in different ways. And that's when it starts to happen, or more importantly, right, Tristan, the second derivative. It's the acceleration. It's not your velocity, it's the acceleration. It's your second derivative of adoption. So yeah, it won't happen quickly, but guys, it's already happened so quickly. And yet we're impatient. No, don't be impatient. Let this thing play out. The best trades that you ever enter in are things that take 5 years to play out or more. And that's just the way it is. That's the way markets work. If it was not that way, then it would be too easy, right? If it was so easy to manage money, everybody would be doing it. But it's friggin' hard, and most people are horrible at it because they have too short a time preference. Here's where I'm going with this. Bitcoin is the best asymmetric trade of all the previous 5 ones I've seen. In 30 years, 5. You're not going to get these chances often, people, okay? They don't come along like a train, like a bus. You have to be lucky enough to be in a situation to identify these. And most of the population is going to turn around and they're going to say, oh, this Bitcoin thing, they're either not smart enough or they don't have the conviction to stick with it because of volatility. When in fact, it's the other 90% of their portfolio they should be focused on, and they should just put Bitcoin there up to 10% of it and not worry about that 10% of your portfolio. That's going to take care of itself. It's the other 90%. Best asymmetric trade I've ever seen, and you get talked out of it by fudsters and volatility and all the things that markets make you do. I'm trying to lower your time preference, extend your investment horizon, because this is an opportunity that you are not allowed to overlook based on someone who's only seen 5 of these, not even as good, asymmetric opportunities in their entire career. Don't sell your Bitcoin right here, right now, because Bitcoin is your portfolio insurance and you got to focus on the other part of your portfolio. All paths lead to Bitcoin, all paths. Fiat debasement is 100% certain in all scenarios. That's advantageous to people who are uncertain how they should approach that because there's no doubt. It's 100% certain. Yeah. I always say, asymmetric trades, I don't think of, it's really an asymmetric investment, but you got to trade something to get into it. You're trading fiat to get into it, and then you keep it for as long as your thesis is in line. So I apologize, but it's an investment, 100%, 20-year investment. But here's the coolest thing. You know that fiat debasement is 100% certain, and the gold bugs have known this for a long time, but they're holding a inferior hard asset. But don't sell your gold to buy Bitcoin. Don't sell real estate necessarily to buy Bitcoin. Sell your bonds. Hey, Preston, your bonds, those are fiat contracts. Those are programmed to debase. Sell your bonds to buy Bitcoin. So I'll just say this. 3 years ago, I saw this coming. I've been ambulance chasing on the bond market since then. Bonds have probably reached a historical fair value level if fiat debasement wasn't 100% certain. But fiat debasement's 100% certain, and bonds are a fiat contract. So you still shouldn't own bonds for the long term. You can pretend you can trade them, but picking up nickels in front of a steamroller is never a wise investment or trading advice. So all of these paths lead to Bitcoin, John.
Foss believes that Bitcoin has unique qualities, which make it an ideal investment for people wanting to safeguard their wealth and hedge against systemic risks in the financial markets. By using Bitcoin as a long-term store of value and means of payment, individuals and institutions can potentially reduce their reliance on traditional financial systems and the inherent risks. Overall, Bitcoin presents a powerful tool for protecting against a certain fiat debasement. What is your opinion on Greg Foss's long-term outlook for Bitcoin? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This is Let's Talk Crypto, and we'll see you in the next video.